Okay. Oh, I love that piece of grounding you were just doing. It's like, how often do we really allow ourselves to just chill for a moment, right? I'm sure you guys probably just kind of were busy and rushing here to, yes, yes. So welcome everyone. This is Kristen Wister, and I wasn't planning on doing a live from my personal page. I was going to do this on the Landenberg Loft page, but we're having some technical difficulties with Zoom, so I'm happy to be doing this on my live page. And I am the creator of the Landenberg Loft, which is a spiritual retreat space for spiritual nourishment and educational empowerment and community. And we are offering all sorts of different events. And I'm excited to have a conversation with Beth Barling and her sister, Stephanie Schafer, her beautiful sister, about their retreat that they're going to be offering on September 21st for the autumn equinox, called Mabon, and I'm going to let them explain what that is. But I'm just excited that you guys are here. It's been a while. I'm still in summer mode. I just got off the beach, and I kind of have beachy hair, and yeah, I'm not in the Landenberg Loft right now, but I'm excited to still be at the shore. And September is going to be, it's already fall coming up next month. I can't believe it. So I'm soaking in as much sun as I can before we head into those darker times. And but before we get started on that, I'm just really curious. I don't think I've ever really asked you this about the two of you. These two are brilliant. They're scholar, they're educated.
Thank you.
They bring so much. Yeah, really, honestly, you guys have more more scholarships and things after your name, and just offer so many beautiful things. But I'm just curious how you came together as sisters, because that's pretty challenging to be in business together. And I know that you guys have different skill sets that probably really complement each other. And how you came up with the Witch and the Priestess and the work that you do. I know you're kind of also going to be making some changes with your business name. And that you just led a really big retreat in Ireland. They lead all sorts of beautiful retreats and do so many amazing things. But just how you kind of started together, and who was the first one?
Yeah.
Beth, I can't hear you. I think I can hear you, Stephanie.
Okay. Well, good.
All right.
Yeah.
Technical grounds. Can you hear us now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah. So you were saying we are biological sisters, so we have known each other our whole lives. Grew up obviously in the same household, and I think that faith and a very positive experience with faith was very prevalent in our home. We definitely work with alternate spiritual paths and alternate ways to get in touch with the divine, but our love for the divine and our love for connecting with the spiritual world and all of that was definitely embedded in our upbringing.
Yes.
Very positive experience with that. And then, as we got older, we kind of ventured on our own path.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think definitely very spiritual upbringing. And I think that spirituality and connection to God for us is incredibly important. And I think it guided a big part of our lives. Even if it was missing for parts of our lives, I think for me, I can look back and see where I was connected with myself and with God, and spaces where I wasn't connected with God and myself, and just seeing the differences in those spaces. For me, I worked in the corporate world. We all suffer different traumas, and those different traumas can tend to be, crossroads of where we can step into the world in a different way and choosing a different way. And I gave up my corporate life, gave up all those pieces that I think were expected of me, things that weren't intrinsically what I wanted to be in this world, and stepped into the path of spirituality, stepped into a path of not accepting well,
Dogma.
not
Orthodoxy?
accepting dogma and orthodoxy. I think that things that I didn't resonate with were silently destroying my personal faith, my faith in God. So there was this beautiful opportunity, you know, as I stepped into, I feel like, you know, these things don't happen by accident, but, you know, through trauma, those things become evident. They become loud. They're so much louder. And it's this moment where, you know, I woke up and was like, you know, to use that word woke, but what's that moment where I sort of was able to hone in on what was important to me and really find God and, you know, the divine, whatever that looks like for you, in a way that resonated with me. And as I, you know, had the privilege to go on that journey, I had the privilege to step out of the corporate world, had the privilege to, you know, as a mother, have support of my children, have the support of my families, to be able to step onto that spiritual path. And so my path, you know, is this one way. And then at the same time, Stephanie's navigating her own spiritual path through her own, the pieces that she experienced, the experiences of her life. And I would say a couple of years ago, we just decided, you know, let's do this together. Let's, you know, and it really evolved. Gad,
You just, so we were both on our, and that's like kind of one of the, I think, and the feedback that we get is Beth and I are very different in how we approach what we do. You know, and so to come together, we can offer like different perspectives
Yes,
and different
yes,
paths and
yes,
things
thank
like
you.
that. So when I was also going through this in my own way. And my path was very solitary. It was very much me and the earth, and that was it. It was like me, the earth, and the moon, and I'm all set. Thank you. And who wanted me to come with you to
yeah.
like this a course that was being offered.
Yeah. So for me, it's ascended masters, and it's the divine, and
Yeah.
it's the feminine and the goddess and angels and just all these.
And I have a jar of dirt. But yeah, I like that very much. I was like, but it's in the dirt. Like, you know what I mean? It's right here. You can touch it. So she invited me. So I think the big difference was I think that I was very private, and you had stepped out publicly before I did.
Yes, very much.
And
It's
kind of,
oldest sister, baby sister.
I was
thing.
very, and then she invited me out, and I said no. I said I'm not going there. I won't do it. And then there was a follow-up, you know, 6 or 8 week like immersive in this foundation class. And you invited me again, and I was like, I'll go just to see what you're doing. You know what I mean? And then it blossomed from there, and we both had such growth. I, you know, speak for myself. I had such growth from, you know, having such a powerful private practice, and then putting that public and doing that practice publicly empowered me so much, right? You can hide some things by yourself at your altar, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to face everything, but when you're in community,
Yeah.
that mirrors like back at you, and it's like, oh, I still have to work on that, and I have to work on that. So Beth kind of pulled me into the public with her, and it was so beneficial. We went public with it. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so when you said you guys were both very spiritual, didn't you grow up with like religious background? Or like when you say spiritual, was there?
We were raised, yeah, we were raised Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
Our mother's Italian Catholic, our father's Irish Catholic.
Yeah.
Even that in of itself is two very different Catholic paths, right? Like the way that there's religion and then there's lived religion, to say your words.
Lived religion.
But it was, even with both of them, it was very beautiful and very positive. A lot of times people I have found have like negative experiences with religion, hence why they're seeking alternate paths. But we were raised Roman Catholic and
We love
our
our
upbringing. We love it.
upbringing. And I think too, our parents were very much involved in our spirituality, very much involved in our faith, and brought that into our homes in a really beautiful way that was not, you know, there, of course, you know, there's dogmas with every religion, but they brought it into our lives in a way that was very enchanting. And I think that the enchanted world is something that's not present for a lot of people in day and age, you know, and they made it enchanting. And I don't even think they've realized they were doing it. Our mother, wherever she is, if she's probably going to watch this later, but my mother has a bunch of really beautiful gifts.
Yeah.
And she wraps that into her love of, you know, the Blessed Mother, and she wraps it into her love of
The
Christ
saints
and the saints. And so she would tell the, you know, these beautiful stories of her own experiences, not to tell her story because it's her story to share, but that enchanted world, that magic that's in the world was always a part of our upbringing, and our parents are incredibly devout Catholics.
Yes, but I think also,
If-
there's like devout and then there's like dogmatic. And I think
Yes.
that your devotion was a devotion to like faith and God and the importance of having faith. And, if we came to them with like, well, why I would come to them, why are we doing this? Why does the Catholic Church say this? I don't agree with this. And it was never like, well, that's what you do. It was like, well, let's find out why they say that. Let's see where it comes
Yeah.
from. And it's like, oh, you disagree with that? Like, it was never shunned to question or disagree, like to say like, well, that's not how I relate to God.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was kind of like the message was, for better or for worse, it was like, as long as you have a relationship with God, whatever that looks like for you, that's beautiful. And I think that is a huge foundation to give someone permission to look at different avenues and ways of how you connect with the divine and how the divine is speaking to you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think it was very community oriented to
Mhm.
our parents. When we experienced things, I think they focused a lot on the benevolence of Christ. And I think they focused a lot on the love of Christ and those universal lessons, the beauty of that religion. And then
It was never
those were the
oppressive.
things we
Yeah.
could sort of deconstruct and come back to in a beautiful way. So it was, loving your neighbor, being a better neighbor.
Yeah.
It was,
Being of service.
when we're tussling with things like even racism, and around us, and not to bring, but our parents would be very forthcoming with beautiful ways to emulate Christ and to just be a good Samaritan and to love community and be better with community.
I actually feel emotional thinking of this, like just how your parents were such a foundation for you guys. And I seriously am holding back tears
Aw.
because I think that's so special, and that they brought in the purity of what faith is all about without, like you said, the dogma. And that's so beautiful because there is so much purity and truth underlying some of this stuff, this religious stuff. And so then my next question is then you guys get into Wiccan, or the witch stuff, or
I think it's my
yeah.
favorite joke. So when
Yeah.
our police talk to us about that and they drop off rosary beads at our fairy gardens
Yeah.
and things like that, we're like, you did this to us. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it didn't come from nowhere, but I think, and for what it's worth, both of our parents came on one of our retreats last year to Cape May.
Wow.
Which was so gorgeous.
Mhm.
The fact that they came there, they, were available for all of the lectures and all of, the ritual that we did and all the things that we talked about. And when they left, it was kind of like, this is a beautiful thing that you're
Yeah.
doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's, to use the word witch, which is a word that, there's a whole history and heaviness to that word, and it means something different to everybody. Of course there's going to be fear of that, right? Like there's going to be that fear piece. There's going to be that piece of like, what are you worshiping? Like, everybody has like a different definition of that. But I think having that foundation to be open and say, well, what does that actually mean to
Yeah.
you? Let me not impose my definition of that word on you. What does that mean to you that you're doing that? What does
Yeah.
that mean to be a priestess? Like, like who ordained you? Like, you know what I mean? Like all of those conversations were available to our parents. And that's really what it's all about, is having a
And we
conversation.
still have those conversations.
We still have those conversations.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Wicca, and that, one of the definitions, there's so many definitions for a witch, and there's, very little rules about being Wiccan. It's harm none, do what you will. I think that's it. That's
Debatable, but yeah.
debatable.
Yeah. Okay.
So Wicca to us, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, is a legal religion.
Yeah.
So for us, we wanted to be ordained in a lineage that had some kind of structure, that had a sociological component, a ministerial component. So when we went through, like we had an elder who's, done this for so long,
Mhm.
and we wanted to be part of sort of that familiarity and that expertise and that training, so that when we came into our own ministry, it was secure. It did have the foundations that we needed, and we've been training for quite some time.
Oh, yeah. I
And
mean, we're
this-
Catholics. We love a good history.
We love structure.
Yeah, we love structure. So that's something that's really
And ritual.
missing sometimes, right? Yeah, Catholics love structure and ritual, but that's missing a lot of times from like new age communities or alternate spirituality, or neo
True.
like however you want to experience divine is on
Yeah.
you. And then it's like, you go down that path and then you're like, you kind of run into things and you're like, there should be a little structure here. There should be a little bit of an educational component. There's right safety for you, safety for other people, all of those things.
That's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and keep things safe and not appropriative and
Yes.
kind of right, like authentic. And it's like having you like it's like what a mother does with kids. Like, we're going to give you a safe space and you can explore this however you want. And then like you kind of build up and your space gets bigger. And we found that with Wicca because it is a religion that's recognized. So it has that ability to very publicly have a lineage of like, this is my elder, that's her elder, this is the teaching that's passed down.
Okay.
So it offered us to make sure, you know, before having very public rituals and interacting with the public, not like friends and family, but to make sure that we were providing a safe space.
Mhm.
We would hate to create a space where people leave harmed and, you know, bringing up things that shouldn't be brought up, but like all of those things that go along with when you're dealing with faith, it's a heavy topic.
And it's, especially as priestesses, I think that when we were doing our own practices and when we were novices, you know, we were exploring and we're still exploring. We're always educated. Like you said, that's why we're always educating ourselves, because we have stepped into this role of facilitation and leadership and priestesshood. And there's an incredible amount of responsibility when people lean in and when people are vulnerable and when people are opening their hearts to us. It behooves us to always be incredibly educated, incredibly practiced, and incredibly responsible with people. And, you know, we learn from not just Wiccan, you know, there's so much in that lineage that we're learning, but we also learn from other religions, and that can really teeter on that line of being appropriate if we're clearly two white women practicing Wicca, and American white women, Western white women. You know, there's so many places where we really want to be educated and we want to meet people and we want to connect with people who are doing things different than us. And that's, you talked about, you know, how did we get started in this? That's an incredible piece of our travel. That's why we travel, because we're meeting different practitioners. We're, you know, we're engaging with other communities so that they can share with us firsthand that intimacy.
Their own voice, instead of us speaking for them.
And it's an intimacy when we sit in a circle with people who are so different from you, have different perspectives.
Yes.
I'm getting chills because to me, that's meeting God. That's meeting the divine, is really loving and listening to our neighbors and our brothers and sisters and people on the path with us. So that's
your parents taught you that, right? They just that was that foundation. And if we could all come from that place and just honor each other for where we are and just be curious, then imagine how different the world would be. And I think that's where we're headed, hopefully, for sure.
And we're forever deconstructing our own biases and pieces with us. I don't think there's one retreat where I'm not shocked to find something out about myself. Do you know what I mean? And to just navigate that and be honest and be humble. That's to me, that's where that humbleness, like, that's something I really grappled with, because humble was, I think there's so many ways to define being humble. And really, I think for me, being humble is listening and loving others and really reflecting, really honoring what's happening inside of your body and how can I be a better priestess? How can I be a better sister on the journey?
Yes, especially when you teach and you're out there, that's where you're learning all the stuff that comes up, which is
I feel like there's so many authorities, right, where people tell you what to do. And we say we don't, but people like being told what to do. They like us, oh, here's the step-by-step plan on how to do this, right? Like, that is easy, but as like priestesses, and something that we share and that you touched on is like the humility of always being a student. I've been doing this for a long time, right? I've been doing this for a long time. We're both very educated, take it very seriously. But having the humility to know I'm not the end all be all, and the buck doesn't stop with me. And there's always a different perspective and, you know, space for other people to speak their voice and experience, and be welcoming to that. So there's definitely, I feel like a good leader would be humble.
Yes. And always willing to learn and grow and say that, you know, I don't know it all. I'm learning as I go myself. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you guys just came from a retreat in Ireland. So I was curious how the Wiccan religion and the Celtic tradition kind of go hand in hand. Because I have been to Ireland several times and done quite a bit of Celtic things. And you guys are going to be sharing about your Mabon retreat. And so I was just like thinking, how does that relate with one another? We don't have to go
Well,
into
Where
it.
do we
yeah, where do we
begin?
begin?
Where do we begin?
You know, it's created in the 40s officially in England. Gerald Gardner creates it. You know, he gets a lot of flack, but also a lot of support. What he does kind of lays the groundwork for like witchcraft being legal. And this happens when England repeals their laws that witchcraft is no longer illegal. But what he does is he kind of takes and squishes together. One of the things that he does is the Wheel of the Year, which is Wiccan in origin, but it has left Wicca, and it's really neo-pagan communities, earth-based communities will follow this cycle of the sun for the whole year. And what he did was kind of, he wanted 8 of them, make it like a nice number, right? And he took together Celtic festivals and he took together Anglo-Saxon festivals, like 2 different cultures. And he put them together and he sprinkled some Norse in there, right? Like a little bit of Eastern esotericism. And he like created this Wheel of the Year with 8 kind of Sabbats, what he called them, that mark the changing of the season. So even in and of itself, the Wheel of the Year is very much like a Northern Hemisphere agricultural celebration of the earth, and kind of using the earth to guide you in your own spiritual practice from that perspective. So very heavily Celtic related to that. You know, their 4 fire festivals that they used to have are in the Wheel of the Year.
So just 4, the Celtics have.
So 4 Celtic and then 4 Anglo-Saxon.
Okay.
So the Anglo-Saxon are the equinoxes and the solstices. So summer solstice,
Right.
solstice, which is Yule, which is the Norse word for it. And then the spring and fall equinox, which we'll be celebrating fall. And then the Irish ones are Imbolc, Lammas, Beltane, thank you, and Halloween, Samhain, yeah.
Okay.
So that's where you get them from. But cultures all over the world, whether it was Northwestern Europe, everybody celebrates at some point in their folklore, right? People celebrate the change of the season and being connected to the earth shows up in their culture in some way. So whether, you know, celebrating the fall and the change from the light half of the year to the dark half of the year is present everywhere. Like cultures all over the world celebrate this. You know, cultures all over the world celebrate Samhain, right? They don't call it Halloween, you know, it might be Day of the Dead. It might be like All Saints Day. It's all different, but
Ways
like
of celebrating
ways
the
of
dark
celebrating
season,
that.
celebrating our ancestors, celebrating the beloved dead in many different ways.
But it's interesting that, you know, as the seasons change, these cultures all over the world, even they're not like talking, but they have like the same foundation to them, right? That like that October to November would be a day to honor the dead, right? Like it just makes sense, right? Like spring is fertility. Like it makes sense. Like, so it's, when you look at it from like, we all are part of the earth. That's why that's so, and anybody can really celebrate and lean into the Wheel of the Year because we all live on the earth and you learn from her.
Yeah, it's just like following patterns, really. It's just
the cycles.
cycles.
It's very feminine, and I think that's a lot of what we're doing is sort of reclaiming that
Yes.
idea of nature that for us, I think, would you agree, is reclaiming that feminine aspect of the world, that feminine aspect of God, that feminine aspect of, you know, the immanent God, the transcendent God, all the different ways that the goddess, and you know, you can call her the goddess. Sometimes it makes people uncomfortable. I love dropping that in different classes, but you know, having that feminine fluidity and flow. And you know, what is feminine and masculine? This is a conversation we have all the time, you know, who decided what's feminine and what's masculine. But that's a big part of why we look at these things historically, is to really understand, you know, what these delineations are, and what are we oppressing and what are we raising up, and do they have an association with things that we perceive to be feminine and masculine? And one of this is fluidity. Am I speaking English?
Cycle a little bit, yes.
Sometimes I get off, but and two, like with these holidays, you know, ancient people, these were really life and death things. coming into the winter, if you didn't
Right.
come into the winter prepared, you were
Yeah.
gonna die.
Yeah. Yes.
We today, I think, you
Have the
know,
luxury, in some parts of the world have
in
that
some parts
luxury.
of the world, especially, you know, with the community that we work with here, you know, in America, where, you know, there's ways to be safe. There's ways to keep your home heated. There's all these
Yeah.
different pieces. And, you know, I think from really reflecting on this and working with this and listening to elders and just researching, that's why it's nice to have this, you know, we're at a place where, you know, there were Wiccans, you know, the first Wiccans in Philadelphia were showing up in the 70s and 80s. And, you know, Starhawk was part of the feminist liberation movement in the 70s. So there's this beautiful foundation of how we can sort of transition all of what was happening over, you know, in England, Ireland. Yeah, am I correct? Stephanie's my historian on this one. So, but bringing these things into like this period of our lives. So I'm not afraid that I'm going to die in the winter,
Yes.
but you know, the winter is still a time of being very reflective. It's still a time of darkness. There's still a little bit of fear. There's depression that happens in the winter.
Yep.
There's all those
Mhm.
pieces. And when we remember, like you said earlier, that everything's cyclical and nothing is permanent, it helps us to really navigate that and bring the light into the dark season, which is really what Mabon is for us.
Yeah. So share more about what this retreat is all about.
Yeah, so Mabon's a new word. It was never called Mabon, you know, before. That's like a new word to make it look nice on the wheel of the year, but it's a fall festival, you know what I mean? It would have been a time of harvest. You know, the first harvest is the end of the summer, which we're in now. August is the Sunday of summer, right? We're getting ready for the harvest season. So Mabon would have been this in between harvest between the summer and like Thanksgiving, what we have Thanksgiving now, which is really Solomon. But anyway, Mabon is that, you know, you're still in these happy sunny days, but
Mhm.
like, you know that winter is coming. It
Mhm.
sounds very Game of Thrones, but like, you know that it's coming, right? So this would really be when you get back to work and you're getting ready to go into the dark season. And there's a lot of, like Beth said, folklore that goes along with that. And it's about making medicine. It's about making protective wards for your home. It's a lot of protection magic. It's a lot of, you know, dusting off like your ancestor altar and, you know, really leaning into and having faith that the earth has provided enough sustenance and teaching, and everything that you would need for medicine and food and shelter for you to bring that through this time when like it may seem that, you know, the earth is not available for you, you know, this time of darkness, and again, it's like an allegory, you know, following that wheel of the year is allowing the earth to teach you how to navigate. So it doesn't have to be winter. It's just like a dark time in your life, a time when you feel like maybe the divine has abandoned you. They're not hearing your prayers. You're scared. You're alone. There's no food, things like that. So Mabon is that preparation of, you know, what am I going to take? What's in my toolkit? What's in my reserve? What's in my cellar? What can I pull on and lean on that the earth has given to me this whole time? And remember, I'm not alone. She will come back. She'll wake up again and she's resting. And, you know, like you said, nothing is forever. And that's kind of like what we're focusing on at these retreats that we do at the Landenberg Loft is allowing the earth to teach us, right? You know, God doesn't just live in heaven. God is on the earth too. Again, I said I'm like a dirt witch. There's so much magic in the earth. The earth has been here for billions and billions of years. She knows what she's doing. So take a second and really be observant and aware of what the earth is doing and then kind of mimic that. And it doesn't have to be a seasonal thing. The things that you will pull from this retreat focusing on Mabon is when I find myself in a winter part of my life where I feel alone and scared and I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, you have that fear. Mabon is that preparation of being like, look, here's your toolkit. Here's your toolkit. It's okay. Like we did what we needed to do. You did the work. We're in a dark place right now, but you know, you can lean on these things, and that's community and food and all the different things.
So there's that practical, and yes, all of that. And there's that practical piece that we're bringing in with protection work, how to do protection work, how to make what's your fire?
Fire cider.
Fire cider.
Ah,
Bring those pieces into your house to protect your body, to protect your family, to protect your loved
And
ones
your spirit.
and your spirit. And that's sort of where, you know, it is a cycle of the year. And this is a time of year to really like you said, harvest the fruits. So we're harvesting the fruit right now. And to me, you know, to us, remembering who we are as we go into the dark season, remembering how amazing we are. That's where the gratitude and Thanksgiving piece comes into this is, you know, the retreat is going to be practical applications of preparing for the winter, but it's also going to be a very spiritual way of recognizing and remembering our worth. It's like a living, a living moment to like take a step back and say, this is what I did in the summer. I'm proud of this. I accomplished all of this. And this is the power that we take, and this is the empowerment piece that we take into the winter, so that not only do we have Mama Earth supporting us with her beautiful lessons and her billion-year-old wisdom, but we also have, you know, what's within us, what's sacred within us, that God particle within us, what is beautiful and unique about me, and how can that strengthen my fire cider? How can that strengthen my protective wards? How can that strengthen, you know, the different ways that I can protect myself and allow my spirit to shine, and also bringing in that blessing piece of knowing you're never alone. Like Stephanie said, really remembering the transcendent God, the goddess, is always with us. And, you know, for me, it's always, you know, ascended masters and angels and all these pieces that are around and talking and helping me along on the journey. So that's what we're bringing in, like ways to remember that when we're in the dark season. We're harvesting all that we know, all that we've learned, so that we can go in as our most powerful, our most compassionate, our most loving selves, and be able to engage with the dark season in that way. Because the dark season gets heavy.
yeah.
Season, I mean, and that's something we can talk about for Samhain, but it's a season of introspection. It's a season of quiet. It's a season of being alone with yourself. And there's a lot of pieces that still need to be worked out, right? Because this is a circle and this is a cycle. And how can we come into the dark season in the best way possible?
That's amazing. It's so intentional. And I think that that's what's so beautiful about it, and connecting with the earth, like you were saying, just really following the rhythm of the earth, and in that connection and being intentional, then we're consciously creating how we want these shifts to happen. And because in our modern world, we're so disconnected from the cycles. And like I've been enjoying when I'm at the shore, I get such a beautiful opportunity to wake up to the sunrise and just walk right down to the beach. And then I can capture the sunset and just walk right down there, and just experiencing the time of the rise of the sun and the setting of the sun is just, it's like you become so rhythmically in tune with nature. It's so simple and basic, but we don't often experience that. And so this is really core. And I mean, it's core also to what I do with feng shui, just connecting in with the elements and nature, and mimicking, you know, like the falling of the leaves, and just letting go, and just, you know, just watching Mother Nature. But so this is good for us, I think, to always to be reminded in these kind of settings, in this retreat setting. And I'm just thrilled that you guys are going to be sharing your wisdom with us.
Always a lot of folklore. I can't control myself, but yeah, you know, and I think it is important to, you know, just to go on those cycles. And like you said, meeting the sunrise and the sunset, it just sometimes, like, you know, we think everything's such a big deal and it's all about us. And like our world is very like me centered, it's very ego centered. And when you take a step back and you witness nature and you witness cycles, you, again, like that humility part, like I'm just a small piece in like this huge thing, and I don't have to figure it all out.
Huge gift.
This huge,
This
like
huge
it's just
gift of joy.
it's so precious,
Yeah.
it's so precious, and it's like for like a second, and it's like stopping and really taking in and being present. You know, I think in our culture, we always joke that it's like expected that you're in like the Beltane, like you're in this like like our culture expects that every waking second is productive and it's working, always doing. It's the next thing, the next appointment, the next place to go, the next, like, you know, commitment, whatever you have to do. But like nature doesn't do that. She doesn't produce fruit all year long. She doesn't, the sun doesn't shine hot in one space all year long, maybe some places, but, right, like, it's okay, you know, to lean into winter. It's okay to say, like, this is gonna be a time of you're alone in the house, like, you know what I mean? Like that, you know, and it doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be giving your permission, I guess, giving yourself permission to lean into the fact that, to celebrate all that you've grown and done instead of just focusing on the next thing that you're doing. Because when you find yourself depleted, like in a winter scenario, if you never stop to harvest, you know, you're not going to have what you need to get through the winter. It's very important to stop and harvest and be grateful and thankful and recognize all the hard work that you've done. And that's really what we hope to do at this retreat.
And that's why, like you said, intentional, it sounds like an intentional piece. And I think that's the biggest beauty for me of the Wheel of the Year is being intentional. We have a roadmap of how to live in alignment with Mama Earth and just intentionally, just even if it's just, you know, if a moment of recognizing the sunrise and the sunset and how that's shifting. It's transformational in itself to be able to just lean into nature and in that humility.
It is. I've been hanging outside and just looking up at the stars, and you know, we spend like 85 to 95% of our time indoors, and if you think about that, we're so disconnected. So summertime is a great time to be out, and even so, like I find myself sometimes really busy and, you know, not connecting, and then I just get myself outside and just don't do anything, just look up at the stars, and you feel that entire vastness. And it's so true. You just feel like, wow, my problems aren't that big, you know. It's just you feel the love and embrace of something so much larger.
And if someone's problem, and there's times in life
a winter you do have,
well, I think, yes,
like a winter,
but there are times where people's problems are crippling, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's things I mean, we're focusing a lot on the joy of these gifts of the world. So the joy of the gifts of the world is forever, you know, it is here. And then there are times where the problems in our life really are crippling. And I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, that's true. Very
right.
true.
And it's not something the three of us have all experienced that, right? I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm assuming
I have
a time in your life where problems are crippling, and being
that's why we're all here doing alternate.
What we're doing.
That's our question to ask.
What's your trauma?
What's your trauma? How did you end up here?
But let's heal this together.
Yes. So those things do come up, and I think still intentional living, and really just remembering you're not alone.
Yeah.
And you're just being a part of us, like the basics, being part of a community.
Yes.
Things lost when we don't, like you were talking earlier, and that really spoke to me about, you know, sharing and bartering. So if I have an apple orchard, you know, if I'm in Avalon and I have all these beautiful apples, and Stephanie has all these potatoes, we're going to shift, and we're going to share, we're going to barter, we're going to come together as a community. We're taking care of each other. That's a big part of why we have community. It's a big part of why we do retreats, is to remind people, you're not the only one going through these things. You're not the only one, you know, you're not the only one on this earth having these ideas about what it means to be a woman, what it means to be all these different pieces that we come up against when we're dealing with sort of a pressured ideology of what God might be. And I'm not even speaking of religion, speaking just really of society, of what society looks like for us, and like what we have embraced from different experiences, but having in this intentional space to come together, to be in that space of love, and to be in a dedicated space with God. If, you know, standard religions are not your thing, and we are a standard religion, but also it tends to be more alternative. Just those things alone help to sort of light a candle in the dark. When in those really darkest places of our lives.
I like how you said, you know, you both touched on sitting under the stars and realizing, oh, my problems aren't that big. Like, it's going to be okay. And then on other times that you do have really big problems, and like, maybe, you know, we need to fix this. They're both the same, right? It's two sides of the same sword. Like, if you don't take the time to be quiet and really think about what's going on, I always say, like, name the demon, because I'm raised Catholic. If you're going to exorcise a demon, you have to know its name. You
Yeah.
can't fix it if you don't know the name of the problem. And a lot of times we're so distracted and busy, we don't know the name of the problem. We think the problem is this, like all these different things. But when you take a retreat, you take a step back, you stand under the stars, you really tap into yourself, and it's like, what is the problem? What is upsetting me? Then you can name it. And it's like, all right, well, now I can actually work on it. And all the other stuff was a distraction. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can really tap into what is distracting us and what it is that we need to be working on.
And that is the beauty of
You're
spiritual.
you're getting a perspective of the vastness of the stars, or the sunrise. It almost just wakes you up, even if you're in a horrible funk. There's something there that can, just help you connect into another piece of yourself that is so healing on so many levels.
And I think,
And how
You need-
powerful you
yeah.
are, how much
Yes.
beauty and grace is within you,
Yes.
power is within you, when you give it a moment in silence to show up,
Hmm.
whatever, and then knowing you're, it's leaning into faith in a different way. How can Mama Earth support me? How can the transcending goddess, the God support me?
Yes.
and it gives you hope, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can do this now. I figure, I know what the issue is,
Yeah.
and it's like hopeful instead of like, I don't know.
Mhm.
It just keeps happening over and over again. Like, you know what I mean?
It's gotta be them.
Yeah, it's gotta be someone else. Yeah, but it gives you like hope, like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. And we need it right now, especially just
Yes.
everything going on in this world, and just connecting with the rhythm of nature. And more than anything, that's our grounding force that is so healing for us.
I thought of that. I'm actually, because I don't like bringing current events into the space, but I'm so grateful to actually be doing this work, this heavy work, for Mabon, because I feel like bringing people together right now, that
Mhm.
intimacy, that one-on-one, with all this technology and connecting via comments and not having self-responsibility and not being able to see people's beautiful faces, so that we're maybe not so compassionate, just that moment of bringing people together.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know, I always feel like I want to give that love back to Mama Earth. Like, when we're celebrating Mama Earth and we're celebrating each other, I feel like, as a mother, how beautiful that is when I see my children get along, when I see my children loving each other. And it just feels really beautiful, like you said, and really needed right now, going into, this chaotic fall that we're going into here in the United States.
Yes.
Am I being
Yeah,
clear?
it's election
Yes, you're being very clear.
No matter who you are, whatever's going on, it's election season. Fear
Mhm.
mongering is always for forever, right? Being afraid dictates where you're going, what
And
you're
love,
doing.
Right.
love, community, and oneness
Is how
are
you
so much
conquer
more-
that.
and it's
Yeah.
so much more powerful. There's so
Yeah.
much, and it, yeah, that's all I want to say. That's why
Yeah.
it's about that.
Yeah. So it's going to be on September 21st from 9 to 5, and does it include lunch? I can't remember. Okay, you guys always make something like so nutritious and yummy.
Yes, yes. I'm gluten free.
I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah,
Maybe
that's
I'm the
gluten
problem.
free, so it limits,
It's all right.
We do bring gluten, though. If you're coming, at the end of the day, we usually pull out Halloween candy or something.
Yes,
So
yes, we definitely have treats, but
Yeah.
eating is a big part of community.
Right.
Yeah,
Sitting at the
people
table
sitting at the
together.
table. Jesus did his first
Jesus,
altar was a table. It was
table
the
together.
table. Yeah, having a
They
meal
broke
together.
bread together.
Yes.
That's beautiful. And we love a lot of our Catholic lineage.
Yes.
And a lot of our training and a lot of our education is in classic religion. So I want to be very careful when I talk about religions, because there's something I love. We both love about all religions.
Yeah.
There's so much beauty in
And
these
food.
religions.
And food.
food. We're Italian Catholics.
I
so
love
food's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so definitely breakfast and lunch. Definitely breaks from the day. A lot of time to incorporate. What's the word that you use?
Integrate.
Integrate.
Beth words.
Yeah.
Integrate what we're talking about.
Yes. Let it land.
Yeah, we're gonna start off the day with some meditation, some Reiki, some light yoga. You have your,
Very light yoga.
Yeah.
So, I definitely have, all my yoga stuff and Reiki stuff, and we're very gentle because this is, not a space for
it's just
warrior
to make
one. and
people, yeah, it's just to bring
which is
people
amazing,
present.
but it's just really to get into your
Right.
body.
Get into your body, because the body is the feminine, the earth is the feminine. So getting grounded and shaking off all the travel that got you there, having some delicious food.
And yeah, we'd like to keep our practices simple. This is our new thing recently, is like making sure we're filling people's toolboxes.
Mm,
Beautiful gifts that we have
That you can bring
that you
with
can
you.
bring with you into the dark season. Everything that we do is something that you can bring into the dark season with you. Like when you need it, you can just do your belly breath, or you can just lay on the floor in child's pose, or whatever it is. But everything will be gentle and
Intentional.
loving and intentional for you to bring into the dark season. I'm sorry, I cut you.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, and we'll be doing fire cider, so definitely like a body, mind, spirit. So the fire cider will be like our body element, taking care of our physical body.
And they can take that home.
They can
right?
take,
That's
oh
what
yeah,
they
everybody's
can take
making their
home.
own, they're
Yeah,
gonna make
they'll
their own. We're gonna talk about like, right, like Beth often uses angels and well, people do, like, if you need protection, you go to Archangel Michael. Like, so bringing in this fire cider, the dirt witch here is going to be like, you can bring in this orange and you can bring in this, like, right? Like, where's the divinity on the earth?
sure. I
We'll
love
work with the earth's divinity and the spirits that are in there and bring them into the dark season with us with the fire cider. We're going to talk a lot about, well, not a lot, but like home protection, apple lore,
Protection, charms for our houses.
a lot of apple lore
Nice.
coming your way, which is directly associated with the goddess and, preparing for that liminal journey.
And gratitude and
And gratitude.
celebratory practices.
Yes.
This, we originally called it the Witches Thanksgiving, and we are shifting a little bit away from using the word witch. We are witches. I identify as a witch. For me, it's a reclamation of, well, it's a lot of different things, but it's also a reclamation of women's empowerment. And, men and women were killed for stepping out of line, for doing things
And
differently.
we're going to celebrate our power. Yeah,
We're going to celebrate our power. So, but we're, that's why witches would celebrate this as their Thanksgiving, because it's about bringing not just our gifts and our fruits, but especially, well, I guess in our community, calling it the Witches Thanksgiving, but bringing in, really being grateful for how all the beauty that's in our lives, and remembering how amazing we are, and remembering how beautiful this life could be, and remembering how small we are, and remembering that there's a way out, and remembering that there's a community and a goddess and all of those pieces to support us, and angels and ascended masters and whatever you resonate with. Bring that in, your agent sovereign connection to the divine. And if we have those pieces and we're reminded of those pieces in a way that we can carry into the winter, which is the big part of what, we definitely come together. We come together on everything. You talked about how we work together. We agree on everything. And then we come at it from very different approaches. So bringing that into the dark season in a different, less practical, tangible way. So there's practical, tangible things we're doing. Then there's a lot of meditative empowerment and gratitude and celebration work. And we need a lot of celebration right now and joy.
Yeah, we do. We do. It's our responsibility, really,
Yeah.
to be able to do that and hold that frequency for the earth as we're going through.
Yeah.
I like the way you put that.
And I like, talking about empowerment and celebrating your own empowerment. I really feel like, when do you feel, sometimes you need a kitchen table and community to help remind you of how wonderful you are, right? You think that's what you do, you call your sister, you call your a close friend, or, whoever you're, feel connected to. And right, like, let's be honest and let's be truthful, but like, you're also amazing. Like, right, like you need that kitchen table and community experience to remind you like of how beautiful and amazing, and how like your presence is needed at that table, and it's welcome and invited, and
And to laugh.
yes,
And
have a
to
good time.
have a good
Yes.
time, and to lighten up. I mean,
Yes.
there's a lot of heavy. And we're very careful about politics, because we talk
No.
religion at the drop of a hat. That is enough for
Yeah.
anyone. That is enough chaos.
No political talk.
So
Yeah.
we're very careful about, we celebrate people's views, and we try to dissolve a lot of fear and
Well, and
Yeah.
the retreats are about you.
Yeah.
The retreats are about you. You're not here to impress the other women. You're not here to
Yes,
impress me and Beth. You're not here to be the most educated person on the topic. This retreat is about you going inward
Mhm.
and getting
Really
that
celebrate.
toolkit and celebrate yourself, love yourself, be thankful, reap the fruits of your harvest and all of your hard work. And lean into that and enjoy it. This is about you and your journey. So there's really oftentimes, honestly, on all of our retreats, tough topics come up, but it's always, and we guide that inward, right? This
I
is
love
not
that.
about you arguing with someone in circle. This is about
Yeah.
you going inward.
Yeah.
The work is inward. It's not
If
outward.
something
Yeah.
triggers you,
Journal.
that is for you.
Yeah.
It's so
For
true.
you.
I'm gonna get a shirt that says journal on it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. That's the
Journal
answer.
on it. I love it.
Yeah.
So how can people get in touch with you guys?
Oh my goodness. So we are going through so many transitions. We are creating a new website, but you can still go to our website now. It's called thewitchandthepriestess.com. You can find Beth Barling or My
Altered
Altered
Home.
Home, spelled with an A, like an altar, My Altered Home on Instagram. You can message us,
The
reach
Witch and the
out to
Priestess
us.
is on Instagram too.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, but the witchandthepriestess.com has all of our retreat information.
All of our retreats. So we have this retreat and we have a couple other travel retreats coming up. So if you're interested in Mabon, just click on retreats, go to the Mabon link and it'll take you to a landing page. And from that landing page, you can register. The retreat is $189 for the entire day. That includes breakfast, lunch, all of your craft supplies, and all of the spiritual teachings and modalities that we're bringing into the space. And obviously the gorgeous being at the gorgeous Landenberg Loft.
Excellent shopping. I can't wait to get a new pair of earrings. Yeah, every time I'm there, we're all shopping. Yeah.
So there's also a space to connect with me and Stephanie.
Oh, yeah.
So especially with travel retreats now, we've shifted to setting up meetings, one-on-one free sessions with us. They're 30-minute questioning sessions. So you can meet me and Stephanie, you can meet just me, you can meet just Stephanie, whatever speaks to you.
If you
And
have
find
questions.
out, do you have questions? Is this for you? What is this going to look like? We have those free, what do you call those sessions?
Discovery or
Yeah.
Discovery call. Yes.
I never want anybody showing up and doing something that wasn't in alignment with them. That's important. If this isn't for you, then it's like not for you. You know what I mean? So we don't want people coming there scared or nervous or like whatever. So if you have questions, again, that's why we have the discovery session calls where like you can ask us whatever you want.
And on the other side of that, even with especially with our travel retreats, they all require a discovery session now, because these are very heavy. These can be very transformational. They can be a lot of deep reflective work. They don't have to be, not all of them are, but we also want people to feel safe. So we really are making sure that the right community is coming together at the right time, so that when you do come together, they're like-minded people.
I love that. So professional. You guys are top notch.
Like that we did that.
Yeah, we both did at the same time.
And that from our mother too.
Yes.
Aw, I can't wait to meet your mom someday and your dad.
Oh,
Yes.
precious.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I will also put the link below and your information below so that people can find out information. And thank you so much. This was
Welcome. Thank you.
so fun. And you're not going to regret it if you come. I mean, you just feel so loved and nurtured, and it's so rich and so much more than you even think it's going to be. So hopefully you can come, and I think we have room for about 20 people. So we got to kind of keep it at that, so it can be, we have enough space and whatnot. And we can also go outside too, which is nice. So we have access to the outside if that's part for lunch or whatever. Just reminding people that we have access to the beautiful outdoors as well.
Yeah,
That's beautiful.
so beautiful, Kristen. We love it there.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful. And
I'm looking forward to seeing you in your
I know.
beautiful space.
I forgot about the shopping. I can't wait
the
to shop.
shopping.
I'll make sure I get more stuff too.
Yeah. All the snake things. No, I buy all your snake stuff every time I'm there. So yeah.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
All
I'm
right,
excited. Yes.
me too. Thanks so much, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Bye.